Hello, welcome to a new tutorial. This is a tutorial on how to do the Pinpad device. So I put in a value here and enter it, I get a fail, and if I put in the right value, I get a success trigger with XP. So you can also put in a value here and delete the last character. If you choose, okay, no, I don't want to do this anymore, you can click cancel at the very bottom. This works with controller players as well, and you can use other buttons linked to the verse to also show the Pinpad UI as well. So it works the same way. You put on the code, success, you can get XP for it, and if it's wrong, you get the fail HUD message. Now this Pinpad is very customizable, as you can change the colors of every single element on your UI. You can make it look like something like this, or you can make it something like that. You can make it look like a hacky theme like this, or you can have no background at all like this. So these are just ways that you can customize it, and I'll be showing you the actual values in here in which you can change also my additions to this. Now I gotta give props to MaestroShark. I heard other people say MaestroShark, but my girlfriend says it's MaestroShark, so I'm gonna stick with that. So yes, props to him. He's the one that actually coded this. I'm just showing you my additions to it, making it more flexible and allowing users to make it more their preference. So yeah, when you look at the code, it's very familiar to his video. Yeah, so I'll show you the rundown of the verse code, and then I'll show you how to actually adjust it in the verse device. So yeah, let's get started. Also, don't worry, I'll go over everything towards the end, how to link it up, how to set it up, and to also demo it again. Also, if you just want to copy the code, that's perfectly fine. You can just go to the description and just join the Discord server there, and then once you join it, go ahead and give yourself the UEFN access role, which will give you access, of course, to the UEFN category, and then you can find the resources in there. Again, you can ping me directly if you have questions or if you need help, and yeah. So before I get into the rundown of the verse code and everything, I'm just going to quickly show you a preview on how to connect it and to look at the values here. Here's how you can connect multiple buttons to access the Pinpad UI, and here's the triggers right here. Here's the passcodes so that you can actually add as many passcodes you want, and if you have a few, you can add your title, you can add your pin, you can add a trigger and an XP accolade if you have that as well. So if I were to create a new one, I just click this plus, open that up, and then as you can see, you can even add a title. So you can go here and you can say like, okay, this passcode will be for admins only or something. So you can put that, you can put in the pin here, so I can do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you want to add a trigger here for, like, you know, you want to trigger something specific for that player or whatever, you can link it right here and it will trigger that trigger. Otherwise, it will just trigger the default trigger you have over here. But I'm going to link a trigger. All you had to do is click this, click trigger, click this, and then click whatever trigger you want to link up to this device. Same thing with the XP. Click this, click the accolades, then click that, and then click whichever accolade you want to link to this code or password. So it's just like that, very simple. And down here, here's the colors that you can change. You can change the text color. So if I want it to be green, I can do green. If I want the text block to be blue, I can be blue. I would prefer to make this darker, the text block, so it's easier to see the text, so you have some type of contrast. For the foreground, that is the that's in front of the background, so you can see this right, behind the buttons. You will probably want this to be something other than yellow, so you can see the buttons. So something like, let's do purple, dark purple, that'd be nice. And then after you change the foreground, you can change the opacity of the foreground. So 1 being, you know, you can't see through it, there's no transparent at all. If you want to add transparency, you can do 0.5 to make it halfway, and if you want to make it completely see-through, just add 0 and it'll be completely see-through. Same goes for the background right here. You can change the background of the whole pin pad. So I can do green, and let's say I don't want this to be transparent. I want this to be a solid color. You can just do 1. And yes, so if I save this and I start the game, you can see how this will show on my UI. Okay, let's demo this. So we shouldn't be able to see the foreground because we changed the opacity to 0, and we should just see the background. There you go. Now this looks absolutely terrible, but it works. So there's no foreground. You just see the dark green background. You got the text going on, and yeah. All right, so let's get into the verse code. All right, so here is the code. Again, please tell me how to pronounce this correctly. I think it's MaestroShark. I'm gonna stick with that. Anyways, so yes, a lot of this code is very familiar as you watch his videos. So I'll just be going over it. Now, in this passcode, I added a title here. Again, I made it an optional, so you can add a title just in case you want to help distinguish between what passcode is for what. I also added XP here, so you can link an accolade just in case you say, okay, maybe this passcode will grant the player XP. Now, if you want to have a limit to how many times that that player can get this XP, you can go into the accolade device and then change the limit. So that's how you would do that. Here's the trigger device as well, and here's the pin. Now this is exactly the same here. We have now obviously some of these variables are changed. Now this is just my preference. It still works all the same. I just changed it so that I could easily understand it. So like, for example, on his, he has trigger success, but I have trigger success default, just so I can, like, you know, again, distinguish between, okay, this is the trigger success specifically for this passcode, and this is just the default if they don't have a trigger success. So yeah, so just want to clarify that. Here's how we can change the colors of the text block, of the foreground, of the background, and here's how we can change the opacity. Now I already have values in here. These are the default values, and towards the end I'll also show you how to set those default values back, just in case you want to revert back or change it back to default. Now here I have an array of buttons, so just in case you want to have more than one button, you know, here, there, or whatever. Let's say you have multiple bases and you want to have players access the pin pad from there. I have an array, so you can just link however many buttons you want, and that player will get the UI. And I have it looping here, so when they interacted with any button, it'll add that pin pad to that user's UI. So right here, I added a cancel button with a on-click function, and what this does is that it just simply removes the pin pad. So I have this right here. If you want to easily create that, you can just highlight the enter and do Alt-Shift down arrow, and you can change the names of these variables and just create a cancel button. So that's how I did it. And if you don't want it, you can remove this. That would also mean you would have to remove it on the UI so you don't get errors. So go ahead and remove this as well, I believe, if you don't want the cancel button. So yeah, and this right here, this is just code I added, so you can change the opacity of the background and the foreground. I just created a variable called FG opacity. This is a foreground opacity, and it just has this type. Now this type is here so that it won't bug out when you change the default opacity here. I also added a comment here for the default value, but this right here will check, okay, does this type match it? If it does, go and set the opacity with the player's opacity input. So whatever they input in the verse device, go ahead and set that variable up here, and then that'll slap it into the actual UI right here. So this is for the background, and this is for the foreground. So yeah, so I have two variables here and then two checks right here. I also have print statements just in case it fails and you need to know what's going on. So now if we scroll all the way down, all the way to the enter function, now you can also do Control F and then search up enter function, you can get to here. And I altered this a little bit just to make it easy for me to understand, but I'll explain it to you right now. So I have the player, I just store in the variable, so I can slap it everywhere where I need to. I go ahead and get that player stuff, and then I get the input of whatever they put in the pin pad, and then I make a match variable. I set it to false by default, so that, you know, I can check later, okay, is there any match? Does it match the passcode at all? So I make a loop, I make a for loop. I go ahead and loop through all the passcodes that you have entered into the verse device. And then this just checks, okay, is there any match? If there is, go and stop the loop. So what's gonna happen here is I'm gonna get the code of the passcode. So PS means passcode, as you hear. So each passcode that is PS, I get the pin of that, and I store in a variable called code. I check if the code matches the user's input. If it does, then everything here would fire. So if it does match, go and set the match to true, because okay, there's a match, right? And then check if there is a inner trigger inside that passcode. If there is, go ahead and use that trigger. Otherwise, I'll just use the default trigger here. He also explained it in his video as well. I did the same exact thing for the XP right below. So check if this passcode grants to player XP right here. So if this passcode has XP, go ahead and grant that player with the XP. After that, we will go ahead and remove the pin pad, then return the function. Now again, if this doesn't return it, this will go ahead and trigger the fail HUD message, and then remove the pin pad as well. So yeah, that is the rundown of this. Again, I think I already explained this one. Yes, I did. Okay, cool. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and demo it one more time and just show you how to set it all up and everything. Okay, now that we're here, let's go ahead and drag our pinpad device. Let's see here. So let's go and link up the triggers. So go here, do trigger. Let's add one for success. Let's rename this. And then let's create one for fail. So we have a success trigger and a fail. Let me go ahead and change the properties of this. I don't want this to trigger on player. I don't want this to trigger on vehicles. Yada, yada, yada. And then I'm just gonna leave this so I can hear it when it triggers. So there you go. All right, now let's link this up. So fail trigger is this one. The default success trigger is that one. Now let's go ahead and add our buttons. So I'm gonna go here, add a button. Let's do this one. For the sake of the video, I'm just gonna add another one, and let's do another one. Cool. So let's go here. Let's add 3 buttons. 1, 2, 3. So I got the triggers and the buttons. Now let's go make our passcodes. So I'm just gonna click plus. Let's go into here. Let's give it a title. Say this is the normal pin. Normal pin. 1000. There you go. Will this have a trigger? I will say I'm gonna give this no trigger. I'm just gonna let this use the default one. The XP, I won't let this give this XP. So I'm gonna leave these as default. So I'm gonna leave this alone because I don't want to add that. Let's add another passcode, and this will be for let's say a cool player. So cool players can access this code, and the code will be 4321. And then I will have a custom trigger for this. So a specific trigger. So I'm gonna do this, and then go and link it up right here. This will be a trigger device, and this will be 2. I'm just gonna rename it just to be safe. I'm gonna call it success cool player. Awesome. So we have the cool player trigger here, and then let's say I want the cool player to get XP. So I'm gonna add an accolade right here. I'm gonna set this to triggering player only and say you are cool. Cool. So after we added the accolade, let's go and link it up to the code. So we have the normal, and then we have the cool player. I'm gonna close out the normal for now since we're done with that. And then let's just work on the cool player one. So we have the code, the name, the trigger, and let's go ahead, the accolade. So yes, accolade, and link it up there. Cool. All right, so now let's go and change the colors, right? Let's go and let's leave this black so that there's some type of contrast so we can see the text. Let's leave those as normal. Now again, if you want to go and change the background, let's say you want to do it pink, and you're like, okay, shoot, it doesn't really look nice, I like the black before. You can't revert it here, but you can click down on this arrow and then click these arrows here and it'll go back to the default value. So that's how you would do it there. And let's make sure everything is linked up properly. Got the buttons, triggers, cool, passcodes. Got done with this one. Okay, let's just create another one just to be safe. Let's create a an admin one. Okay, so create another one. Let me close out this one. This is all for testing. This one's gonna be called admin, and the passcode is just gonna be 4 or 5. Cool. Let's do a trigger. This one will have its own trigger as well. I'm gonna call this one admin. So yes, let's go and make this a trigger. Link up the admin trigger here. So this first device will trigger this admin once they put in the right code for that passcode. So let's go and will this one give XP? I'm say no. I'm just gonna leave it. Yeah. All right. Let's go and test all these out. Save it. Let's go ahead and push changes. Normally, when you're messing with the verse device, it's most likely you have to push your changes frequently. So yeah, we'll see how it looks. Okay, really quickly, I forgot to add the HUD message devices. I'm gonna go over that really quickly. I added a success one. I changed the text, made sure it's triggering player, added it for 3 seconds, added the sound for it. I also made sure I put 50 on the side just to make sure it's visible. And I made sure to show it when these triggers, the success triggers, are triggered by the verse device. And I did the same thing. I just alt dragged it, and then I wrote fail here, and it has pretty much all the same settings except I changed the sound, some type of fail sound, and then I also changed the color to pink or red, and then made sure it only show for the fail trigger, which will be triggered by the verse device as well. So yep, get those set up, and let's see how this looks. Okay, we're back in the game. Let's see how this looks. Okay, so let's try the normal one. So it's 1000. Cool. All right, so it triggered the bottom. All right, let's try to do a different button. Let's do the cool player. So let's do 4, 3, 2, 1. Cool. All right, activate this one. I got XP for that one. All right, let's do the same button. Let's do admin. So let's do 45. Cool. All right, awesome. No XP, and it triggered the top one. That's how you do it. Now if we fail, same thing. Awesome. Look at that. If you have any questions on how to set this up, or with the verse code, or anything like that, feel free to join the Discord link in the description, and you can ping me directly there as well. You can stay alert on all the uploads and updates and everything. And yeah, so if you liked the tutorial, a like is very much appreciated, and I hope you have a blessed day. God bless you.